My name is Jean Smith.
Can you spell it for us?
Hmm?
Can you spell it for us?
Oh, JeanSmith, Jean Smith.
Tell us a short description of your life.
I'm a product of West Woodlawn. I was born in Woodlawn from a family of 6 children, 3 girls and 3 boys. My parents purchased a house during the Depression at 6606 St. Lawrence Avenue. And we all lived in that house until we decided to go to college or get a job or get married. We never left that house until we married and moved on. And some of my brothers and sisters went to college. I didn't go to college because I wanted to be a secretary, so I decided just to take commercial subjects and be able to go and work in an office. And that is what I did. And I worked in different offices until I retired. I worked for the Chicago Public Schools in the downtown office for 38 years as a secretary. And I enjoyed it very much. I have a brother that's a retired minister, a United Congregational Church minister. One brother was a artist. I had a sister that was a principal. And so we came from a lot of different varieties. We had an 8-room house, and every child in the family had different friends. So on Sunday, all the friends would come to our house. We had a Victrola, which you people don't know about, because a Victrola was where you put your records on and play them. And we would dance and just have a good time all the time, because we had a house. Most of the people, they lived in apartments, but we had a big house, so we were able to accommodate all the people. And back in the day, when you purchased a car, they allowed you to take that car and drive it 2 or 3 days before you decided you wanted to buy it. So in the meantime, every time someone in my family was to buy a car, the distributor would bring somebody with them just to have guests, company with them. So we've had Joe Lewis in our house. We had the Lady Sings the Blues in our house. We had, I can't think of all the people, but we had a lot of people because we had so many children in the family. Everyone had different friends, and all their friends brought their friends. So it made that we had good times every Sunday in our house, but we all went to church first. We had to go to Sunday school and church. We didn't go to the movies on Sundays. We only had a few movies in this area. We were like blocked in from South Parkway, which is now King Drive, to Cottage Grove, 63rd Street to 69th Street. And we had a school. We lived at 66th Street. Hyde Park High School was at 63rd and Stony, and the other school was at 69th and Princeton. The high schools, we could not go to those schools because it was segregated. We couldn't go, so we had to go to 62nd and Stewart to Inglewood High School. So the majority of the children that came from Woodlawn went to Inglewood High School, and we didn't have money to ride the bus like the kids do today. We had to walk, so we walked from West Woodlawn all the way to 62nd and Stewart every day for 4 years because we didn't have money. Streetcar fare was first 3 cents, and then it went up to 7 cents. Sometimes my father didn't have 7 cents to get the bus to go to work, but we always found the 7 cents for him to go to work. He worked 37 years at Railway Express and never missed a day. So things were hard then, but children today don't realize what people had to go through in the former years to be able to make it. I remember one day we didn't have food before we went to school, and my sister fainted because she was hungry, but we still went to school. And so these are some of the things that I think is good for the younger people to know. When I started working and looking for a job, they had what was called civil service. So you had to take an exam. So I took the exam, typing exam, and then they send you to a company that needs people to work. And everyone I went to, they would turn me down, and they said, no, we don't need anyone today. That's because I was black. So 3 times I went to they sent me to the Board of Education. The first time they told me that the manager of that department was not there for me to go shopping and come back, and he would talk with me. When I went back, they said, well, he said I couldn't do the work. And he sent me back to civil service to check out because I couldn't do the work. So I went back and I signed my paper, and I said, I'm signing this paper saying I cannot do the work which I was not interviewed for. They didn't interview me. So I signed it for a year, and in 3 months they sent me another letter to come back again. So I went back and they sent me to a different department. In the next department, the lady asked me, why do you want to come way downtown to work when you work right near your home? I said, well, the job pays more money. And she said, well, we've never had coloreds working in here before, so I don't think we can use you. And I told her, I said, I live in a mixed neighborhood, go to mixed school, have been to mixed schools, and I've worked in mixed offices. I'm sure I could work here. She said, well, you go home and you decide to call me by 2:30 so I can call the next person on the list. Not saying that to call to tell her I was coming to work. So I called and told her I would be there the next day. And that's how I got the job at the Board of Education. That was in January. In March, rather. But in June, they always had an outing for the ladies and the men. So the day that the ladies were supposed to go on the outing, you either went on the outing or you came to work. So there were 4 black girls working in the whole building. There were 22 floors in the building. There's only 4 of us there. So we decided to go on the outing. When we went to get the bus to go on the outing, the lady had this clipboard and she started checking off names. When I put my foot up on the bus, she said, I'm sorry, but you girls can't go because they don't allow coloreds in the country club. So we couldn't go to the outing. So everything was just so, they just didn't want blacks. They didn't want blacks any place. I worked in that office almost a year before I knew there was a washroom that our office could use. I always went up to the 11th floor to the public washroom. They would never tell me. So we had to go through a lot. And so as the young people started to graduate from college and they would come back into the neighborhood, they kept saying, well, somebody should write a book about our neighborhood because we couldn't walk around and go places like you people do now because we were not allowed. So one day my girlfriend and I went to the library. It was at 63rd and Kimbark, and we decided to walk down Maryland Avenue instead of walking down 63rd Street. When we got to 66 Marquette and almost to Cottage Grove, a white lady came out and said, why don't you little niggers get back on the other side of the grove where you belong? That was the kind of things that we had to go through. Even when we went to school, the teachers were not nice to us when we went to Inglewood High School. So as things begin to sort of temper off, well, and people started coming back from college, they kept saying, why don't we write a book about our neighborhood? And everyone said yes, but nobody would start the book. So finally, my brother started that book, and that's how we got the book started. And in the area where we lived, there was one congregational church at 64th and Champlain, and they had what we would call now after-school projects and things. Well, everyone went to that church in the afternoon after school because they had so many things you could do. So the city also blacktopped 65th Street from Cottage Grove to King Drive, and they closed off the streets, and then we could skate there. That's how we would skate. Every day they would close it off so we could skate there. And kids came from everywhere to come out there to skate. They came, well, most of them lived back further north, like 58, 55th, all out that way. So we always had a lot of fun after school skating, roller skating. And so in the book, so we decided to start meeting and decide how we were going to make the book. So write the book. So everyone wrote a part what they thought about the West Woodlawn, and then they put it in the book. And there's a lot of different stories in there. But the majority of the children that did live in West Woodlawn, they all got to be great people, the majority of them. We had one young man that worked on the atomic bomb over to the University of Chicago. We have some young ladies that are doctors, pediatricians, a lot of different things. They were all pretty smart. They all went to great heights, but we just could not get out of Woodlawn. They wouldn't allow it till everybody started going away to college. After the war is when they decided to start opening up things, and we got a chance to do different things. When we were younger, they had a bus on King Drive. On Marquette Road, and the bus went from the airport to the Jackson Park, and it was 5 cents. And so sometimes that was our outing on Sunday. We would get on the bus and ride from the airport to the beach, just to have something to do as an outing for 5 cents. What could you do? What else for 5 cents? I think the theater was 15 or 20 cents. We couldn't go there. We didn't have enough money, but we still made things for us to do. So we had in our elementary school, there were no black teachers. There were no black teachers in the school. So finally, when they did send a black teacher there to teach, they would not allow her to teach. They made her be a school clerk because they didn't want any black teachers at McCosh School. So then about a year or two later, they sent 2 more black teachers. When they sent the other 2 black teachers, then they decided, well, I